Missoula podcast, we are back in studio. What a wild weekend it has been. I myself attended my first Glam Jam competition.
Glam Jam?
Yeah, my daughter's a cheerleader. She's in cheer at Summit here in town.
Okay.
And they had their first competition of the year. And I am now a cheer dad. I learned so much, saw so much bedazzled, bling, cheer moms, and cheer dads, I guess, now this weekend.
Are you proud of her?
I'm very proud of her. She did amazing. She was happy. She worked hard. Just the people watching was amazing. And I guess a new title I have on my resume is cheer dad.
Congratulations. That's a big step.
Thank you.
I could see the joy.
It was fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she was excited. She did great.
I'm sure the girls were having a blast.
They had a blast. But how about you? What's going on in your world?
In the thick of basketball season and had a few games. Lincoln, Montana, out in the boonies, salt of the earth kind of people.
Josh Smith.
I will forever love that place. Redemption from the Unabomber.
That's right. We should have asked Josh about that. If you probably knew him growing up. Or
you probably did.
Crazy.
So yeah, there was a little bit of that and just some relaxing. And so, yeah, excited to be in the studio with you today with our guest.
Another great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I love about this show specifically is people love Missoula as a destination to get their businesses started, their dreams going, and the overall, we hear this all the time, vibe of Missoula. And Austin Davis is definitely that kind of guy. So excited that he found Missoula, so excited that he's helping people feel better.
Great guy, intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Smarter than the two of us put together.
Absolutely.
And Nick, smarter than the three of us put together. Yeah, great conversation.
Yeah, he's a wonderful entrepreneur. We think you're really going to enjoy this and answer a really big question. Are chiropractors doctors?
I don't know. Let's find out. Here's Austin Davis. First question for you, Austin. Are chiropractors really doctors?
It's a great question. And it's an important first question. We're going to look at this a couple ways. First way is just straight up on paper. Yes. We go to chiropractic school where other doctors go to medical school or other specialty schools, graduate with a doctorate in chiropractic. So where someone could be John Smith, MD, is just medical doctor. Mm-hmm. I'm Dr. Austin Davis and it's DC.
Okay.
And it's just doctor of chiropractic. So have a doctorate. It's chiropractic is primary care, which is also sort of misunderstood sometimes because people come in saying, do I need a referral from my MD or my general practitioner? Do I need a referral for this? You find a chiropractor you like, you just walk straight into their office.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a referral. You don't need anyone to tell you otherwise. It's primary care. So on paper, yes, we are doctors. We study, get our doctorates, and we're primary care. The other way to look at it is what really is a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Is what is a doctor designed to do? And in our world, it's to respect and support what we call innate intelligence of the body. So the body is designed intelligently. We were given this gift at birth. And you go back in terms of when a sperm meets an egg, the original intelligence behind the reason we're all sitting here is greater than any book you'll ever read, greater than any study you'll ever read. We have this innate inborn intelligence. I say that to say chiropractic is what respects that intelligence. My whole purpose is to analyze and detect interference to the communicating system of the body and clear that interference.
Well, he sounds really smart. He sounds like a doctor. Well, okay.
We can pass that test.
Yeah, all right.
Where outside of what we do, a lot of it is symptom-based care. So you go in with something.
Yeah.
They will diagnose it, which is a funny word when you break it down in Latin. Diagnosis means two people who don't know. So they diagnose and they give you a bunch of for whatever you have going on, right? Now you're chasing symptoms, and often the work that chases symptoms leads to more symptoms. But it helps you tread water, helps you get through the day or the month or the year. But it's not addressing the cause or the potential cause, because there's environmental factors and chemical factors and familial stress factors and all these factors. Mm-hmm. We're talking about if the very movable structure that houses the communication system of the body deviates alignment, what we call subluxates, you're going to interfere with communication to the system that controls all function. So if we can find that, and then I use hands-on adjusting, but we can find that and then adjust that subluxation back into proper alignment, takes the pressure off the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, let the brain and body communicate the way it was designed to do it. For us, that's going to be the most effective means of actually addressing the cause of the issue. You may still need supplementation or auxiliary care or modalities or therapies. But if you're starting all those things without knowing what the body's capable of first, you're starting at a disadvantage. So
that makes a lot of sense to me, Austin. But why do chiropractors get such a bad rap in the medical community? If what you're saying is true, and that makes sense, you want the body to function to the way it was meant to function, and you're just helping it do that, why do you get such a bad rap?
How much time do we have on this podcast? It's like a week-long podcast. Is that right? Well, there's a deeper rabbit hole to go down. We won't have to go through all of it. But a lot of it comes down to sort of the behind-the-scenes politics of healthcare. And way back when chiropractors and osteopaths were really closely linked, and they were seeing a lot of results, great results. The medical profession basically said, you can come join us, because we were taking patients away from them. Come join us. Or essentially, and I'm being a little glib, or we're going to just try to crush you. And osteopaths said, we'll go medical. Yeah, hell yeah, we'll take a medical license. We'd be legit. And chiropractors said, well, let's talk. And we basically laid out what we laid out and said, are we going to be able to come to an agreement that we should first check for cause before symptom? And it was sort of that's not how we operate as medical doctors. We're more symptom-based. So there was an organized campaign to completely destroy chiropractic. And most people don't know this, and you can look this up. It went to the Supreme Court that the AMA, the American Medical Association, was found guilty of libel and slander against the chiropractic profession in the Supreme Court. In as recently, I believe it was in the late 70s, 80s. This was not that long ago. And it doesn't get talked about because the lobbying power of the medical industry can sweep that stuff under the rug. And I know I'm being a little tin hat, a little conspiracy, but this is how it operated. And then so the libel and slander campaign was big billboards. Chiropractic causes stroke. Chiropractic is unscientific. There's volumes of science, volumes of studies, but it was just everything went up. So we fought it and we won. But a lot of those people that were indoctrinated with the ideology that what we do is equivalent to like low-grade therapies or unscientific or voodoo.
Well, don't you know
became
that
teachers, and now they teach the next generation and the next. And the next.
You could make more money, I think, just by peddling like pharmaceuticals. You know that, right?
That never crossed my mind.
I hear I hear.
I mean, you can make a lot more money probably as an investment banker, but
just kidding.
No, but it's true, and it's a fight today. Is they're trying to incorporate pharmaceuticals into their profession. In many states, Arizona's a big one, New Mexico, because a lot of those chiros that were in the 80s and 90s working with very tightly with insurance companies, a lot of the insurance companies steered away from us, and they were left with all kinds of issues and debts and things. And now the next big money grab would be pharmaceuticals. It's a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industry.
Sure.
So it is a big part of it. It's just, it goes against the fundamental understanding of chiropractic. And part of the misunderstanding we have today is that chiropractic gets sort of labeled as neck pain, back pain. You get a lot of like hokey car salesman-y type advertising. We got your back and stuff like that. We're not back doctors. We're not neck doctors. Hell, we're not pain doctors. It sounds odd. I want people to feel good. I do. It doesn't matter how you feel to see a chiropractor. Chiropractic is about systemic function. It's about operating at the peak potential that this communicating system can produce. So if there's interference to that, whether you feel amazing or terrible, it's always important to check that system. And that's the big miscommunication, because it's hard to put that on a billboard.
Right.
And it's hard it's the schools too. The schools that are producing chiros are leaning more what's called integrative wellness. And everyone has a gut health plan and a weight loss plan and a stretching plan. And those things are all good and they help people. But chiropractic at its core, and I'm a generational chiropractor, we've studied under some of the originals of chiropractic.
Yeah.
It's functional neurology, and that's what gets lost a lot.
Well, you said something that I really liked about helping people live at their peak performance, peak potential, and getting there. And from what I know about you, you're a guy who lives at your peak potential performance.
Potential.
You're driven, you're motivated, you go. I'd like to kind of dive into your story and how Austin is framed to be the guy you are. So, you're not a native of Missoula. Where's your story begin, or how'd you get into your business?
It's a good one. I think it's a good one. My family's originally from Chicago and New York.
Oh, so you're tough. You're a
Queens,
tough guy.
New York. Yeah, we were raised thick-skinned, which helps as a chiropractor because I get called a lot of things, and often doctor's not one of them. So, which is fine. You can hit me with whatever you want. But yeah, I grew up though in a small farm town in Connecticut.
Okay.
My town was 5,000 or 7,000 people, pretty small, and loved it there. I spent every day outdoors, and you couldn't get me indoors. Couldn't get shoes on me. Couldn't keep me indoors if you tried. So we grew up outdoors, just hunting, fishing, skiing, just adventuring all day, every day. And the opportunity came up when I was looking at schools, because I played sports growing up, played hockey my whole life, and lacrosse, and baseball as well. My father's a great baseball player. And I said, okay, well, if I'm going to school, I want to go somewhere exciting. And California popped into my head because I'd seen Baywatch and all these like shows about the beach and everything. I was like, great. So my family, we had some family in California, said, cool, we're going to move to California. So we moved from a small farm town in Connecticut.
Fresh Prince.
Yeah. We moved to Oakland. So the sort of giant palm tree lined beaches was a little bit different, I think, than where we ended up in Oakland. And went to school in Oakland, finished up high school there, moved halfway through high school, finished up high school there, and then realized that lacrosse probably wasn't going anywhere. There wasn't really a pro league yet. And I had stopped playing hockey because I was a goalie. I had ended up breaking my neck playing hockey. I have a compression fracture of the neck.
You should see a chiropractor.
And chiropractic is what kept me out of surgery. So they wanted to fuse titanium plates to my neck and do all this fusion work. And I was 12 or 13 years old. Hadn't hit a growth spurt. I was like 5 feet tall. And thankfully they wheeled me in, and my father's a chiropractor. And he's like, this was in that little town in Connecticut. And he said, let me see the x-rays. And sure enough, there it was. And they said, well, we can fuse this. And he said, well, what about the vertebrae above and below it that are subluxated, misaligned? And I'll remember this till the day I die. They go, look, we're not trained to look for that. We found the big scary thing. We can fix that. And I go, but if you fuse that out of alignment, and we see this all the time. People, they just get it fused. If it fuses out of alignment, you're putting pressure on those nerves. What happens to the rest of his life? They said, look, do you want him fixed or not? And he signed me out, and I wore one of those like Boca Raton big foam collars going to high school. With the neck, I was losing the use of my arms and all this. So I couldn't get a lot of traditional chiropractic work done, which is kind of hands-on, move the bone type work. So we went to a chiropractor, just really low force, almost like energy-based techniques, still adjusting, but it's a totally different style. And worked my way back up to playing hockey again, and shattered my ankle the first game and broke all my fingers. And I was like, maybe hockey, I should like take a break. So I went to school out in California to play lacrosse, and I went to UC Santa Cruz. The Fighting Banana Slugs was our team. Banana Slugs.
The Banana Slugs.
That's it. You see someone at the airport with like a UCSC shirt on, they'll come running up with the antenna, you know? And I'm
That's
leaning
so
into
intimidating.
We're wildly intimidating.
But nice campus.
Beautiful. I mean, it's built up into the redwoods overlooking the coast. And I thought I was going to be a marine biologist. Turns out there's more to it than just hanging out at the beach, which I thought was marine biology. Turns out there's a lot of statistics and math, and that's not my bag. So ended up leaving school there, not really knowing. I had a degree in politics and law. I took the LSATs, did well, was going to go to law school. And it was an uncle who was like, don't do it. You're going to be great at it. And that's why you shouldn't do it. You're going to be 120 hours a week, no desk chair. I know your intensity. You will do great, and you'll never see your family. You'll never enjoy any part of you'll be so dedicated to it. So don't. So I didn't. I turned down all the acceptance letters, and then, as you would, bought a one-way ticket to New Zealand with a buddy to go teach English and basically just fish a lot. And we just fished and skied New Zealand for the better part of a year. And I left. I came back, moved to Lake Tahoe, where I taught. I did competitive snowboarding in college, but came back and taught snowboarding there at a beautiful mountain, Alpine Meadows. It was backcountry stuff, and Forest Service still owned it. Lived there for like a year, and then we got job offers to move to China, and moved to China again on a one-way ticket, where I worked technically as a teacher because for these government schools. And but my mother's a tremendous photographer, so I brought my camera. I ended up working as a photographer for a magazine out there, which I thought was going to be my passion in life, was doing. And this is still when it was like darkroom photography and stuff. This was 06-ish. So digital was coming up, but it wasn't like it is now at all. I was still using film because I like film. Was there for a year plus, and due to certain circumstances had to leave the country. And it was amazing, but we lived out in Dongguan. It was like this tiny little town that was developing into a city. It was really interesting, but it was like the Wild West. And you could do anything you wanted, but if it wasn't something you should be doing and they catch you, they kill you. So I was like, cool, I should probably leave. And so I left and moved to Australia for a while. And again, sort of just more fishing and fun. But the one constant thread through all this was, and I worked as a cook and stuff like that out there, and construction work and this kind of thing. So the one thing that's always been a constant was I work with my hands, and the goal is to help people. The problem I had, and my father being a chiropractor, my grandfather was involved in chiropractic. It was never, you're going to be a chiropractor. His motto was, you have to wake up and go to work. So do what makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. Right. So I was working with my hands. I wanted to help people, but the little things became insurmountable to me. They didn't like the 10 negatives I gave them of photos. The plate came back because it wasn't white properly or whatever. And I was like, I do not care about any of this. My purpose is so much greater than this. Not to discount any of those professions. There are some people that is what drives them. It just wasn't driving me. And I loved parts of it. It just wasn't driving me. But I kept talking chiropractic because I was raised going to these conferences with my father. They had kids groups and stuff. So we'd go to Atlanta a couple times a year, travel all over the country, going to these conferences, learning about not just chiropractic, the practice, moving bones and understanding neurology and this kind of thing, but the philosophy of chiropractic, which is essentially healing occurs above, down, inside out. And there's a little more esoteric nature to it. And the power that exists within all of us that just gets trapped and sort of muted down over time. So it's like more of the why of chiropractic than the how, right? So I just kept talking chiropractic because, like yourself, usually the first question when I talk about what my family does is, we have 10 chiros in the immediate family, I think, or did, and now some of them are out of it, was chiropractic. And they would hammer me with questions, and I was defending. And finally I said, you know what, I got to figure this thing out. I got to see if this is actually puts it all together for me. So I left Australia and came back and went to school over in Northern California as well. It's one of the best schools in the country, really in the world, Life Chiropractic College West. Went there for chiropractic school, and it was like day one, just getting hit with a sledgehammer. It was like this puts together everything I've been doing, everything I'm interested in. I can focus my energy in a way that is not just productive for me, but not just for the patient, but the community. And that's what was so inspiring, was that if I can clear the interference in one person, and that person's been living disconnected with themselves and their source, and they go out there and they crap on a coworker or a spouse or a child, and then that person goes and takes that out on someone and on someone and on someone, and that cascade effect of one person living disconnected can be corrected with an adjustment. And now their body's communicating, the innate intelligence is communicating. They're operating with a little more patience, a little more compassion, a little more love in their life. And they can support other people that support other people that support other people. The vision I had for chiropractic was adjusting one person to adjust all people and to help communities get stronger and families get stronger. and people get stronger within themselves. And then once that all clicked and I realized that I can do this as a primary care doctor, again, hard to put on a billboard, the power of chiropractic. Once that was ingrained basically in my DNA, I tattooed that on my soul. Then it was just off and run that you couldn't stop me from doing anything I wanted to do.
Crazy. So finished school in Northern California.
Yeah.
And then came to Montana, open business.
As I was finishing school, met the woman who's now my wife. The moment I saw that woman, I told my buddy, I'm gonna marry that woman right there. And legend has it, she told her girlfriend the same. And from that night, we've been together 12 plus years.
Wow.
I think. And we have a 5-year-old now. But she was working in the city. This is in San Francisco.
Okay.
She was working there, and I just need these. So I was like, I can open anywhere. So I opened in San Francisco as well, right in the heart of the city. I opened up in a 2-block radius. There were 6 other chiropractors for me.
Whoa.
But like we were
Sounds like
talking,
Missoula.
which is pretty funny because when we did move out here, my wife, we saw the list of chiros. She's like, "You looked into this, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, totally." Oh god, we got some work to do. But I don't look at it as competition. I've never looked at other chiropractors as competition. We got a CVS and a Walgreens on every street corner. I don't see why we can't have a chiropractor on every street corner.
Right.
There's 100,000 people here when school's in session. I'm good. Not 100,000 people a month good. We need more chiropractors. So where I open, I'm on Southwest Higgins, Life Chiropractic. I'm in between 2 other offices that are not that far from me, and they're both awesome chiropractors. I'm going to dinner with one of them tomorrow night. The other one I talk to all the time. I love chiropractic.
Do you guys
I love
adjust each other over dessert?
That's one of the problems with chiropractic is we can't adjust ourselves, right? Physically, mentally, yeah. So no, I opened up in San Francisco. My style of operation is a little different. I don't advertise, I don't promote or market. That's to say, traditional marketing. This to me is market. I'm just letting you know who I am.
Yeah.
Want to learn about what you guys are doing, and I want to learn about people, and I want them to learn about me. I would never click on a Google ad, to be honest. So I don't expect people to, and that's how I know that it works. I know that it works.
I love Instagram ads.
Right.
Like they know
Some
me. They
people
know
love
what I
them.
need. They know what I want. Like,
And that's what I mean. Some people love them. I wouldn't do it. So I'm not comfortable doing it. So I opened up in the heart of the city, was there for 13 years or so. I opened first in Oakland, kind of under another office, got my feet on the ground, learned some of the protocols of business. Because being a chiropractor is one thing, but running a business, we're all small business owners.
Right.
We're doctors for sure. I don't show up at a facility where patients are waiting for me, regardless of what I do. And I just clock in and clock out. As you build your business.
Sure.
Or you join one. And I'm not someone who works for other people well. So I start my own. So I started my first one, built it to a certain point, then moved to SF and then built that from scratch. I took the entirety of my bank account. I think I ran it down to like $300 or something like that. And to start my office. And then I just lived there. If I was going to watch Netflix, I watched it at the front desk at like 6 p.m. I ate there. I slept there. I was there 7 days a week with the lights on. So people would drive by and say, "Oh, the lights on." And people would just start stopping in. They just come in. "Are you open? What is this?" And I wasn't even fully built yet. I had patients waiting that were like, "Help me paint walls and stuff." And I was like, I just got to see, like, I can't let this wait any longer. So we built to, on paper, arguably the largest single doctor office in San Francisco. Just by telling the truth and helping people. I don't sugarcoat a lot. I don't tell people, "Hey, this is all you need," or "Hey, I'm gonna fix you." I'm very careful with my words. I said, "You're in the right place. We will build an environment where your body can communicate clearly." I don't know what the full potential of that is. Your external checklist of what you want to feel better or have happen might be different than your internal checklist. Your liver has no pain receptors. You don't know if your liver's at 50%. There might be some signs, but your shoulder hurts. You go, "Doc, fix my shoulder." We clear the interference to your system, and your nerves that come from the brainstem, which go to the liver, just like they go to the shoulder, goes, "Cool, with all this new energy, we're actually going to tune up your liver first." And you go, "This chiropractic doesn't work. My shoulder still hurts." But you're sleeping better, you're digesting better, heart rate's better, mental, emotional state's better. You've got nerves that go to your glandular system. So you talk about kids these days that are being born, and a big part of my practice is pediatrics and infant care. You got kids being born under chemical interference, being pulled out by their head, bone shifts out of place. You're talking about developmental disorder through birth and development.
Wow.
And then you're talking about kids that are just problem children. They just get medicated and stare in the corner. That's not normal. That's not normal kid stuff. This is accepted these days because it's so prevalent.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the body then having what pineal gland or pituitary gland. So you have sleep problems. Pituitary glands, your hormonal balances. So you have people all hormonally imbalanced. And there's a ton of stuff for that. But again, if we can clear that, get it moving. So this is what we tell patients. We will make sure your system is clear. That's all we can promise you. What your body does with that is up to the body. And that's how we built. And we tell the truth and we just help people. And then those people hopefully know people and go, hey, I know a guy that totally shifted my perspective on health. And they go, oh, great. So you feel amazing? They go, not always. And that's fine. We've become a very pain averse society where as soon as something hurts, get rid of it. Pain is a signal. It's telling you something. Now there is traumatic pain. That's not what I'm talking about. You fall off a ladder and bones sticking out of your arm or something. That's different. We're talking about the day-to-day, like headaches and your body's telling you something. If you just mute that all the time, are you going to get better?
Yeah.
Especially if you're just piling chemicals on top of it.
Sure.
And that's just the pharmaceutical approach. There's a lot of people that do a lot of things to mask a lot of pain. Our job is to just appreciate that and say, thank you. Thank you for the signal. What are you telling me? What do we got to figure out here? And we get people through that process.
Let's jump into the burning 5 questions. Get this going with Austin. You want to start?
Let's go. Okay. So Austin, we'll get to how you ended up in Missoula, but when you landed in Missoula, what was your first initial memory? What stood out to you about Missoula, Montana?
It's happening right now. Goosebumps. First thing that hit me, I got off the plane. I got here and same thing. I'm a feel-based person and I stepped foot, and it sounds corny and I know it sounds silly. I stepped foot in Missoula and man, it just hit. I was like, this is home. This is home. And I'm not from here. I don't claim to be Montanan or anything like that, but I go where I'm gravitated.
Whoa. You're a Californian who moved to Montana. You're one of those guys. You're one of those guys, Austin.
I'm from Connecticut.
Okay.
That's what it's called? Is it Canesian?
No, I made that word
okay,
up.
well, I was like,
but it just sounds fancier.
That's amazing.
It sounds fancier than like
Canesian.
East
What
Coast
is
redneck.
a Connecticut?
Connecticutian?
Connecticutian? I don't even
Canesian.
know, honestly. Canesian.
Canesian works.
We'll make it
We'll
work.
take you.
We'll take
you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it felt like home.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Feeling. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Totally understand. Being in Missoula, we drink a lot of coffee. You got to have a lot of hot drinks, especially coming from California. You're probably cold a lot. What's your go-to place for coffee in Missoula?
So my go-to place is actually just down the street from my office. It's Canby, Tap House and Roaster, whatever they call it. And I know they serve drum coffee, I believe. Actually, I haven't been to the drum location, but Canby is my go-to on Higgins.
Yeah.
Canby, I'm there often,
Solid spot.
especially Fridays for
Great
fish.
Great vibes.
Yeah.
How about restaurant? Favorite restaurant in Missoula?
It's funny, kind of folds in at Canby too. I eat there a ton. We love it. But no, we like the Montgomery Sakatumi connection where we go wait for sushi at Montgomery for a little cocktail, and then we go over to Sakatumi and eat our body weight in sushi.
That's pretty good.
My son too, 5 years old, will crush
Really?
sashimi platters like you've never seen.
You're raising him right?
We raise them on, so I feed the family on food that our hands have touched as much as we can. So hunting, fishing, growing. We just don't get a lot of pelagic fish out here, so we go get sushi.
That's cool.
Or we spearfish off of Mexico.
Wow. We're going to have you back sometime to talk about all this. What zip code do you guys live in?
59803. We're South Hills.
Yes.
Oh.
The best zip code in Missoula. Hands down. Hands
I'll
down.
It
forgive
does
you for
have a
that.
pretty sweet view.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. The famous bumper sticker in Missoula says "Keep Missoula Weird." Austin, what to you is the weirdest thing about Missoula, Montana?
I'll tell you this, because it could be a lot of things for a lot of people. Deer everywhere. I grew up in a small town. I love small town. The weirdest thing is kind of also the coolest thing is the wave that everyone surfs.
Brennan's Wave.
Brendan's Wave. Because coming out of Connecticut, we're not surfers. But in California, Santa Cruz is one of the best surf breaks in the world.
Yeah.
We have Mavericks down there, the big wave surfers.
Mm.
So when I was driving across the Higgins Bridge early on, and I look over, I'm like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? These dudes are out there surfing this wave, and I'm like, that's one of the coolest things. I mean, weirdest thing. Like, you wouldn't expect in the middle.
It's funny looking back.
It's so cool.
Pictures of the river, where the river used to go up to the Wilma. Like all of Karis Park was all river, and how like the river got moved, and then it got moved again, and they put in Brennan's Wave. Like, it was all it's all man-made down there, and just fascinating. The history.
It's so rad that we have that here.
It's so rad.
It's so cool. What do you love the most about Missoula?
The obvious answer is community, the people. What I love is that, so I'm a telemark skier, and I don't know if you guys know this, but it's Missoula, I believe, is home to the oldest, longest running telemark competition and race in the country, and they do it over at Snowball.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I don't know what telemark skiing is. So what is that?
Telemark skiing is kind of like a cross country, but aggressively downhill.
Got it.
So the heels aren't attached. Called drop knee or
I've
free
seen
the heel,
those
free the
guys,
mind, brother.
And they're like their heel comes
It's
up,
like
and it
half hiking, half skiing.
Yeah, it looks
It's
so
just like
hard.
power lunges down a mountain.
Got it.
Or up, you can skin
Like,
up on them. And
tough guys do it, like from Queens or Chicago.
Got it.
You know,
people ask like, why do you do it that way?
Canisians.
Is it better for your knee? No, it's just
challenging
harder.
and fun. Yeah.
It just looks cool.
Cool. Last question, and then we'll jump back into your story.
Yeah.
What book has most impacted your life? Could be business, could be personal, could be spiritual, whatever you comes to mind.
Great question. There's one book in particular I read early on, and it was the autobiography of Lee Iacocca, who helped.
I've heard.
Yeah, basically
good
transformed the Ford Motor Company. He invented the Mustang. I am a big car guy. That's not why I read it. It was just basically in the face of adversity and being told no, breaking the mold on things, looking at things differently in a world that is seemingly all pointed in one direction, really spoke to me. Along those lines, like Heart of Darkness from Theodore Roosevelt, tremendous. I mean, that guy has been a huge part of my life, and in terms of it, just a role model, not personally. And then my mentor is this guy, Dr. Sid Williams. He's sort of the originator of modern chiropractic. There's a book called the Meadowlands Experience, and he gave this like 3-day talk that encompassed like everything from the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic. And it was like a pretty instrumental talk that he gave. And he was just like, went to like a different dimension. It just flowed out of him. And they come in these little pocketbooks, and literally I'll keep one in a back pocket and I just flip through it. And if I'm ever dealing with something or something's not making sense, I can flip to just about any page of that book, and it's got some answers for me. So those, I'm bad at answering what's your one thing questions, but that's because there's no one thing for everything. So that's sort of where I land on that.
There is one zip code, and it's 59803. I can tell you that. So Austin, you California and Missoula. What's next?
Yeah. So no, and we look, California gets a bad rap, and I get that. A lot of people are like, California sucks, and I'm like, you maybe have never been to California. It's one of the most beautiful states
nice. I love
in
it.
the country. You can't go through the redwoods, down the coast to San Diego. My brother's in San Diego. It's paradise.
You can be on the beach and then skiing in an hour.
We have snowboarded and surfed in the same day.
Yeah.
Central
I mean,
Coast.
it's just stunning. That being said, it was also the major catalyst for us leaving was a lot of the political scene there. And to be honest, the health scene there is they have passed legislation that made it insurmountable to raise a family the way that we want to raise a family. And by no means do I force any way to raise a family on anyone else. I'm talking about just for us.
Yep.
That they passed laws that my son can't go to school in California. I don't mind telling you he's unvaccinated. We have a medical exemption. 49 other states, welcome medical exemption. Sure, put it on file. No big deal. California did away with philosophical and religious exemptions. And to play devil's advocate, those are ideologies. I get it. Medical, though, has responsibilities to someone's health. So when he had his test done and said there's a high likelihood of injury or death, he got a medical doctor signed off on it. And SB 277 came out in 2020. It was two politicians, one who is pretty open about not wanting kids. The other one's a pediatrician, said we're going to remove the rights of a family in terms of their medical decisions and remove it from medical doctors. We're going to put it in the hands of the government.
Yeah.
And for us, that was a pretty darn hard line in the sand. I was born at home. I This comes as a shock to many. I've never had a pharmaceutical in my body. I've never had a Tylenol, Advil, ibuprofen. I've never been vaccinated. My mom did homeopathic remedies. We had big vegetable gardens. My father's a chiropractor. And people go, but you've had injuries. I broke a neck, broke most of the bones in my hands and feet and ankle. I've had teeth pulled. We don't utilize pharmaceuticals ever. I delivered my son with a midwife. He's the same way. We organ meat and whole foods and exercise and challenge our systems, which, believe it or not, if you've listened the last couple of years, is something that's important to do. The body's intelligent, but it needs to be challenged. Kids need to sneeze in each other's faces. You need to hug people. You got to mix it up a little bit so the body doesn't get baby to the point of it actually being a liability.
Yeah.
So again, we can call that more personal opinion, but it is professional opinion as well. So they removed our ability to raise a family the way we saw fit. And that's, again, a hard line. We're just not going to cross that line because it would have been easy. We bought a beautiful home in a beautiful little suburb in a good school district. My office in the city was doing great. My wife's work was doing great. All of our family lived within about 20, 30 minutes of us. We had a beautiful little cabin in the mountains. And to be upfront about it, you fuck with my family and that's it. We're done. So within 6 months of that bill being passed, we sold everything and took it our show on the road and said, where's home? And we had friends that the best man at my wedding, haven't seen him in years because I was a threat to his family for keeping my office open during these last few years. And people blocked us on the social medias and wouldn't let us into their homes, and people that we loved because of these decisions and they're the ones supporting these decisions. And again, everyone is free to make the choices they want to make, but there should be freedom to make choices. And we were not afforded that any longer. So we were up at our cabin. It's kind of deep in the national forest up there in the El Dorado National Forest. Like in the winter, you can only get there with like a snow go or something like that, or snowshoeing if you wanted to. And this was in just before Labor Day, 3 years ago, and forest fire, Caldor fire ripped through there. Mm-hmm. Largest fire in Northern California history. We throw big Labor Day parties because we're way out there, and we share like 80 acres with a couple other houses. And we do like a decathlon. So there's a we built a beach volleyball thing out in the middle of the woods. Nice. And we do cornhole, a monkey ball, and all these things. And we make shirts and everything. So we were like, everyone was coming up and this fire comes ripping through and we had to evacuate. My family was already gone. We knew the fire was coming. So my uncle who lives in the Flathead was like, hey, it's Labor Day. Why don't you come up, stay with us? We'll take you up to the lake. You're going to love it up to Flathead. And my cousin went to the U here. So he's like, hey, while you're up there, you may want to check out Missoula. I think you guys will really dig the vibe there because we are conservative in certain ways. We are liberal in certain ways. We're sort of that purple city, as they call it. We're sort of purple on a lot of things. But he's like, I think you guys will dig it, especially with a young kid. And I'm like I said, you can't keep me indoors. This is the longest I've been indoors in a long time. Outside of my office. So my wife and son went up first to honestly start looking at house, start looking at the vibe of things, just kind of getting a feel for it. And I was unloading the cabin. We had all the firearms, artwork, valuable things we could just get out into my truck and get it out of there. And I had a headlamp on middle of the day because the smoke, fire's 10 miles from us and it was moving 13 miles a day. So we're like throwing shit in and old neighbors are like, we're not leaving. And I'm like, Jim, let me hook your trailer up to my truck. We got to get you out of here. Yeah. He's like, I got a sprinkler. I'm like, nice knowing you, Jim. And our 4 closest neighbors, all probably 10, 20 acres apart, burned to the foundation. That fire came to our cabin and like God put a hand over it. You could see the burn marks in the dirt, burned a semicircle around it and shot up the ridge. And just our house is still there, but we had to evacuate. So we came up here and this was 3 years ago before this huge housing boom where we came in and found a house in the South Hills that was still within a price range we can do. And we bought it. We're like, we're Missoulians now. We bought the house. I had been here for a total of 3 days, maybe. Put an offer in on the way to the airport, flew out, and we got a phone call. They go, you got the house. And we're like, okay. Sold the rest of our stuff. Came up a second time to look at that. We had done like a 5-minute walkthrough because we had to get to the airport. But we just knew, we felt it in we saw it in our mind's eye. We felt it in our soul. We said, this is our home. And we came here and we came back up. I said, I need to look for offices. I got to start an office because my wife's like, why don't you take some time off? So
you don't seem like a guy that takes time off. Yeah.
To do it. So, I do everything on Craigslist. I just searched Craigslist and found a little office space that popped up. Turns out it was on Southwest 8, just at the bottom of the hill that we live on. Guy comes out to meet
location.
us. Brought my family with me. He's like, hey, it's a beautiful family. I love I already love this. Turns out he lives 3 doors down from me, and we see him all the time. So I'm in his Bob King building.
Yeah.
Yep. Just the
State
next
Farm
door
Insurance.
over. Yeah,
Yep.
the next door over. And we shook hands and signed the deal that day, and then left again. And then I refused to just sell my practice in the city and just walk away. I had patients that had been with me for 15 years. They were with me through student clinic, my first little office in Oakland, and my bigger office in San Francisco. I saw people who couldn't get pregnant that were now on their 3rd kid through chiropractic care. They had stopped all IVF. They stopped all the medical, and we just reconnected the communicating system that goes to the reproductive organ. Now they're pregnant and they have multiple kids. We saw kids that are now pregnant and then they have kids over those 15 years. And I say, how do you walk away from that? This is my family. I build a family practice. I'm not a Band-Aid guy. I'm not a one and done, a flashy ad. I care about you and I care about our community. I want to know that everything you're doing is in the right direction. I go to their art openings. I go to their kids' soccer games. I want to be a part of it. So I did about 6 months of transition work with the doc that came in. And thankfully she had been covering my office for the last 4+ years. So patients knew her, but I still couldn't just walk out one day and never come back. So we helped with the transition, which was my time off. And then started building my practice here. And just like the other ones, I just honestly just opened my doors one day, turned the lights on, put a sign up. And then like I found you guys,
Netflix.
Get on that. I don't get to do as much with a 4-year-old, but get on social media. I'm easy to find. I'm the chiropractor, and the office here is Missoula Chiro. And I search hashtag, I get on and search hashtags, hashtag Missoula, keep Missoula weird, Missoula Grizz country. And I just search hashtags, and it's not like, hey, I noticed you're in Missoula. I'm a chiropractor, come in. It's just engagement. I go, whoa, that looks really awesome. Did you build that? Oh my God. Is there a place I can come see this? And just from engaging with people, these are all people, and doctors lose sight of that sometimes. And I hate to say it, and they become patients and they become numbers. And I can tell you this honestly, and I have been in major cities. Missoula is one of the most dynamic healing communities I've ever been in. Not even just on my side of things. I've met some amazing people in the medical profession, amazing nurses, occupational therapists, but also on my side of things, being primary care and elsewhere, amazing energy healers and physical therapy and nutritionists and people that are doing such great work, and they're so in tune with their study, with themselves, with their people. It's been really inspiring, and it's I feel like a new graduate again, where I'm like young and hungry and want to get out there every day. And because I'm in the office 6 days a week.
Yeah,
I go Monday through Saturday. Although Tuesdays is an offsite day, so I do with the amount of pediatric work and infant care and pre-postnatal care, especially in the winters where moms usually don't want to drive. I have a portable table. I go to people's houses, usually about a 1-hour bubble from here. It's all the way down the Bitterroot up through the Flathead and East-West, about an hour, and I just show up and adjust people. Tuesdays, or at businesses, we'll set up at restaurants in the back and adjust to everybody, or business, local stuff.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, but then Monday through Saturday, ultimately, I'm in the office.
Dang. Well, it sounds like you found the right city, and this city's glad that we found you. We're going to close down with this. Are you ready to close?
Sure. He's got to get back to the office.
Yeah.
What time is it?
He's been 45 minutes here. He's been
the motto I was raised with was a day off is followed by an off day. So there's no days off.
I like that.
It's just I wake up every morning, first words out of my mouth are thank you. And it's like, can I do a little bit more today than I did yesterday? And if so,
say that again. What was that motto?
Thank you.
No, a day. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good one.
Wow.
You should use
Wow.
it.
No, a day off
It's
followed by an off day.
is followed by an off day.
So there's no days
really
off.
good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's really good.
I don't even remember what I was going to
You're
ask
gonna-
you, Austin, but what a sweet story. And I just was able to, I think, grasp a little bit of what you're trying to do and your purpose and trying to make an impact in the community for people, then make an impact on other people and make it a little bit better. And this is exactly what our podcast is trying to highlight, is people like you that are trying to make a difference in our community. So just on behalf of the podcast and me, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being
No.
part of our community and making Missoula a healthier, better place for not just us, but next generation.
And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And it's kind of how I found you guys on Twitter, actually. And I just was reading your bios and what you guys are all about. And I was like, I would love to be a part of this. And as I mentioned, we found this for a reason. This is a special, special place.
Yeah.
Missoula is a special place. And that is not lost on us. There's a lot of people who moved here for the little postcard of what they think Montana. This is a special place. And it's a deeply rooted place. And to come here and open up shop, by no means was it, I'm going to take over this. This is my show. I came here to be a part of something.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. And I plan on being here for a very, very long time. And it may take a little longer than most to find their groove or whatever. I'm in for it though. I'm in for all of it. Whatever comes my way, I try to lead with love and honesty and respect. And I figure if that's my guide, then no matter how long it takes, you're going to find the
I
right
like that.
place.
You do it well.
Appreciate it.
See that. Yeah. So no, Austin, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come join us here on the Missoula podcast. And yeah, best of luck to you in your next endeavors.
I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.